To most of us, he's the man who had a dream. But to the FBI, the most powerful law enforcement agency in the country, Martin Luther King Jr. was something else entirely. You see, this isn't just the story of a great man. It's the story of a brutal, decade-long war between a civil rights leader and his own government. And I'm not exaggerating. Get this, an actual internal FBI memo called Dr. King, and I'm quoting here, the most dangerous Negro in the future of this nation. In their eyes, he wasn't just a preacher or a protester, he was a top-tier national threat. And that view would launch one of the most intense, secret campaigns you can imagine.
The official name for all this was COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program. And make no mistake, this wasn't a couple of rogue agents acting out. No, this was a systematic, top-down, covert operation with a very clear and pretty chilling goal: to neutralize anyone the FBI considered a threat.
So, over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly how this campaign worked. We're going to look at the strategies the FBI used, how their tactics got more and more extreme, and what their very own files tell us about why they were so determined to stop him. The FBI's whole strategy really boils down to this three-pronged attack. First, they went after his politics. When that didn't work, they went after him personally. And when even that wasn't enough, they targeted his entire belief system. And what you'll see is that every time they failed, they just escalated, getting more and more intense. So let's start at the beginning.
The very first attack was all political, and it was rooted deep in the Cold War paranoia of the era. The FBI's entire justification for watching him, for tapping his phones, was this widespread fear of the Red Menace secretly taking over the civil rights movement. And right here, you can see the huge disconnect. The FBI's official story, the one they sold to the Kennedy administration to get those wiretaps, was that King was basically a puppet for the communists. But the reality? Well, after years of listening to every phone call and reading his mail, they found nothing. Zero proof. The Justice Department even concluded he was never a member of the party.
To try and build their case, the FBI really zeroed in on his inner circle. Guys like Stanley Levison and Jack Odell, who did have past ties to the Communist Party. The theory was, aha, these are the guys pulling the strings, feeding him orders from Moscow. But again, the wiretaps just didn't back that up. So the political attack was a complete bust. They couldn't prove he was a traitor. So the FBI switched gears, and they switched hard. The new plan? If they couldn't destroy his patriotism, they were going to try to destroy his character as a moral leader, as a man of God.
This is when the surveillance got really personal. FBI agents started planting bugs in his hotel rooms all over the country. And they weren't listening for state secrets anymore. No, they were listening for anything they could use to blackmail him. They were hunting for personal dirt.
And it all led to one of the ugliest, most shocking moments in this whole saga. The FBI actually wrote an anonymous letter pretending to be a disillusioned follower, and they filled it with just pure poison. Stuff like this. It was a direct psychological attack meant to completely break him. And the timing, wow. The timing was just malicious. The FBI mailed this package, the letter and a tape with recordings from his hotel rooms, just a few days before he was supposed to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. The message couldn't have been clearer. They wanted to destroy his reputation on the world stage. The letter even hinted he should kill himself to avoid the public shame.
But King didn't break. He kept going. And as his message got bigger, as he started talking not just about civil rights, but about economic justice and opposing the Vietnam War, the FBI moved into its final stage of attack. They started to frame him not just as immoral or a communist sympathizer, but as a true radical threat to the stability of America itself.
This internal memo really reveals the FBI's ultimate fear. It wasn't about communism anymore. It was about the power of one person, a messiah, in their own words, who they believed could unite poor people, anti-war activists, and civil rights groups into this one massive, unstoppable movement for change.
And the focus of all that fear was his Poor People's Campaign. It's actually thanks to declassified files like this one that we know just how much it worried them. The FBI's own obsessive surveillance of the campaign gives us this incredibly clear picture of just how ambitious King's plans really were.
So the FBI's own files documented what they called the Poor People's Jobs or Income Manifesto. I mean, look at these demands. For the time, this was radical stuff. A guaranteed minimum wage for everybody, a total rebuild of the welfare system, an end to unemployment. This was way beyond just racial equality now. This was a direct challenge to the country's entire economic system.
And this timeline, also put together from FBI records, just shows the incredible level of detail they had. They knew everything. This wasn't just a one-day march. It was a full-blown occupation of Washington, D.C., with caravans coming from all over the country to build a shantytown and stage months of protests. The FBI knew every single step of the plan.
So, when you take a step back and look at this whole decade-long campaign, from the communism lies, to the blackmail, to the intense surveillance of his economic movement, a very clear picture starts to emerge about what this fight was really about. At the end of the day, the FBI's war on King was never really about stopping a crime. It was about neutralizing a powerful idea, an idea that was evolving. The idea that racism, poverty, and war were all connected, and that to get real justice, you had to fundamentally change American society. That was the idea the Bureau found so dangerous. King survived all of it, the surveillance, the blackmail, the hate, only to be silenced by an assassin's bullet. But, the story isn't quite over. Those full, unredacted audio tapes the FBI made, they're still sealed in the National Archives by court order until the year 2027. Which leaves all of us with one last big question. What else is history going to learn then?